Well, hello again. Welcome back to another session with the Emerging Enterprise Center and our recurring series on how to best transition your businesses back to a virtual work environment. My name is Bob Beekner. I am the Director of Economic Development and Business Incubation at the Emerging Enterprise Center, part of the Newcastle County Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with my partner, Elise Bordolato, and we've been offering this series in conjunction with Brandywine Technology and a good friend of ours, Greg Plum, on trying to help businesses have the tools necessary to keep business moving forward in this virtual type environment. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Greg and bring in another resource partner, Greg.
Perfect. Hey, Bob, thanks so much. So we all know with the power of these online tools these days, since we've transitioned to a remote environment, and one of those leaders in the space is Microsoft Teams. So today, we've turned to one of our collaboration partners who's certainly a subject matter expert when it comes to Microsoft Teams. I'm going to pass the baton over to Aaron Udler to tell us a little bit about how it's being leveraged today and what it can do for you and your business. So Aaron, with that, please take it away.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy coronavirus day, I don't know, 31, 32, 33? I lost track.
Keep going. It gets more than that.
So let's talk about why Microsoft Teams versus some of the other platforms out there. There's a lot of good platforms out there, but we really enjoy Microsoft Teams. So let's talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of Microsoft Teams. So one of the best pros is that if your company is already a subscriber to Office 365 or O365, it's free. It's there. If you have an E3 license or an E5 license, bam, use it. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. It's all included with the package. So that's really cool. What's also cool is that what Microsoft's long-term goal is they want to combine Outlook, Skype for Business, SharePoint, and Microsoft Office all into one application. They've done so with Teams. So if you think about it like if you have an Excel document that Greg and I, for example, need to share, Greg and I can work on it simultaneously with each other. Super cool, super sleek. That's in there. The smartphone app, super cool. It's really easy to use. You have all your documents that you've stored on there. Imagine accessing the Word document that you've been working on through your phone and make one little correction or addition. We all walk away from our desks, every now and again and second guess ourselves, right? Imagine picking up your phone and, editing your document while you're, right before you're about to drive or, get in your car or go home or whatever the scenario is. Also, Microsoft Teams has teams and channels. I know there's a lot of confusion out there. What's a team? What's a channel? A team can be sales, for example, right? So let's call it the sales department, the HR department, the marketing department. And then within each team, you're going to have a channel. And a channel could be, in a sales situation, could be the client name. In a marketing, could be the marketing, the latest marketing push that we have out there. So it's very organized. It's a really cool feature.
So Aaron, if people are familiar with Slack, Slack has some traction out there as well. I view this as an alternative to Slack. Not only just an alternative, but it's an integrated alternative. So, theoretically, could be a better solution for a user.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's just like Slack, and it's funny too because Cisco has their version of Teams as well. It's also called Cisco Teams, not to confuse the marketplace.
That makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense. But Cisco Teams, it doesn't have the same bells and whistles as Microsoft Teams. Cisco clearly doesn't have the Microsoft Office integrated inside of it. Right? But it's still a really cool platform. There's other benefits we won't get into on this call. But per your point, yeah, I mean, Slack Teams and Cisco Teams, they're all very similar platforms from a video side, but Microsoft Teams really has their act together from incorporating the entire Microsoft Office suite as well as SharePoint and then OneNote and OneDrive and a whole bunch of other stuff bundled into it.
Great.
One of the other cool things is that you can access records of previous meetings. Right. So let's say Greg and I, we're on a meeting now and with 10 or 15 other people, and we can, do instant messaging to each other. We can take notes, we can record the meeting, we can annotate, whatever it may be. we can access that post meeting. Oh, Greg, what'd you say last time? Yeah, let me go back in and figure out what he said. That's a really cool feature too. Long term, Microsoft's looking to eliminate emails, since the chats and files and the conversation threads are all stored in the platform. That's all within Microsoft Teams. So imagine internally, how many times a day do we all send emails back and forth with documents attached? And then sometimes threads cross, and now it's like, which document's the latest document? I don't know. Now I got to call Greg and think about the waste of time. I've got to now call him, because now we're all confused on where we are.
I'm going to tell you, the search in Outlook is not my favorite. I don't think it's nearly as robust as it needs to be. So I spend way more time looking for a document, an email from 2 weeks ago than is necessary. So I think this move to Teams ultimately is going to be a huge productivity tool.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head. Security is another thing with Microsoft, super strong in security. Everyone, I don't know if everyone's heard that, but Zoom at the federal government level is being removed from every single agency. In fact, I was on the phone yesterday with some folks at DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and they were saying, yeah, we can't use Zoom at all. We're not allowed to download it. There's some security flaws in it. Microsoft, on the other hand, great for security. Highly recommend it. And then Microsoft in general, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. I suspect it's probably in the 75 to 80% range. The Microsoft Office and Teams, it's pretty much in every business today. Yes, you do have Google Docs, right? That is its competitor, but it's just not as popular. And a lot newer companies are using it, but Microsoft is truly everywhere. Let's get into some of the cons. Excuse me. So one of the cons is that Microsoft Teams, it's really not as intuitive as Zoom is. You pop up Zoom, and bam, it just works. It's like using FaceTime. It's really easy, really intuitive. The interface on Microsoft Teams, it's a little confusing.
But Microsoft is smart, because they recognize that as a potential Achilles heel of Teams. So what they did, they built an integration with Zoom, so you can launch a Zoom meeting from within Teams. So it's you can get the best of both worlds that way.
Yeah. The webinar feature within Microsoft Teams is called Stream. And to be honest with you, it's really difficult for end users to set up. I've been messing around with it. And you have to have one of 6 or 7 different types of codecs, which is like a camera streaming, or it's a camera service. So you can run your video meeting. I tried taking an external Logitech camera and plugging it in my laptop. It doesn't work. There's literally 6 or 7 different types of cameras that you can use if you want to do a webinar feature. The other con regarding the webinars is that the webinars within Microsoft Teams generally they only can be used within your organization. So if you have people external to your organizations, as of last week, you cannot run run a Microsoft Stream external to your organization. Now, Microsoft Teams, yes, you can do external. You can have up to, I forgot the number, it's like 300 or 400 people on a session at one time, but the specific webinar feature you cannot use for external folks.
Wow, that kind of defeats the purpose of a webinar, doesn't it?
It really does, and it's really not the best. It's not the best service for a webinar. There's other better webinar services out there. We won't get into those, but for webinar, my recommendation is not to use Microsoft Teams unless you're really technical and you know how to use Stream and you understand codecs and some of that IT backend. Another thing that's a con, we've all grown up in Microsoft Outlook, and now we've got to transition to a new service, right? That's a difficult thing to do unless you get proper training and know where to click and what to click on and how to set it up, right? And what the backend looks like, and does IT know what's going on? It's a really challenging transition. It was funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine who works over at a company called Poly, which used to be called Polycom up until about 6-8 months ago. And the CEO of Polycom was bragging to the IT department. He's like, yeah, I love Teams. It's so great. And look, anyone can create a new team. Well, no, you can't create a new team at specifically large organizations because of all the clutter that takes place. Within team, and so the CEO, then a big publicly traded company, $1 billion company, he tries to create a new team. He couldn't do it because
can that be set? I was going to say that's set at the admin level. So
Yeah.
So in a smaller organization, let's say for our audience is probably going to be a little bit of a smaller audience,
Sure.
would have the ability to set those up. But to your point, it can get cluttered. It can get messy really quick. So you want to be judicious or be conservative in how you set up these different teams. Otherwise, it'll get as cluttered as your inbox.
Yeah, and to complement that, what organizations are doing, they've got policies now in terms of how users can create a new team, and oftentimes you've got to ask your supervisor for permission and have them sign off on it, and then have the IT department sign off on it too in order to create a new team. That's one way to control that. And then the last con is that a lot of us use the group calendar feature within Outlook. It doesn't exist in Teams, so that's one of the downsides to it. Now, in order to look at the group calendar, you have to just switch back to Outlook. It's really not a big deal. But some of the gripes that I'm hearing is, hey, how come I can't see Greg's calendar today? And how can I can't see my team's calendar today? So that's one of the cons of Teams as well. So Greg, I want to pass it over back to you. And I wasn't sure if we're going to have any questions regarding Teams. I'm happy to stay on and answer a few questions.
So one thing that it will certainly entertain questions. One thing I think makes sense to really highlight here, Microsoft, as good as they are and as impressive as they are not the Microsoft of old. That is for sure. Right? When they transitioned to Office 365, it became the fastest growing commercial product in Microsoft history. There's a reason for that. They've done a great job of integrating these different tools. And, we could probably do another one of these sessions just on OneNote. OneNote itself, I live on. I think it's a great tool. But the beauty of it is not necessarily each one of these different services may not be quote unquote best of breed. And you'll get that the anti-Microsoft people will say, yeah, but this is better, or, Slack is better, or Zoom is better. Perhaps for one thing, a particular product, there may be something better. The beauty of Microsoft is the fact the way they all interplay. That's where it becomes the true productivity tool, where you don't have to leave the environment to go take care of a task.
Yeah, they're trying to make life easy, right? They're trying to consolidate, all these great products into one service. It's super cool.
Agreed. Do we have is there another slide here on the tail end of this one here? Yeah, so a little bit, I think this would be good to talk about because these are names that some may or may not be familiar with. I was actually on a Blue Jeans session just over the week or yesterday, I guess. It was pretty interesting. I haven't seen it in a while, but please elaborate on some of these.
Yeah, Blue Jeans, another really cool platform. Blue Jeans and Pexip. And actually, just so you guys know, Blue Jeans, it just got announced, I want to say in the past few days, if not late last week, that Blue Jeans was acquired by Verizon. So Verizon now owns Blue Jeans.
I didn't hear that. That's big news.
That's big news. So Blue Jeans and Pexip are similar type companies. They're somewhat of an alternative to Microsoft Teams or Zoom or Cisco WebEx Teams. With Blue Jeans and Pexip, they not only are a audio bridge. Think about when you call up a GoToMeeting number, right? And there's a phone number and a passcode to type in, and it bridges everybody together so everybody on the call can connect through audio. Blue Jeans and Pexip allow video bridging to take place. So if you're on a Microsoft platform and I'm calling somebody else that's on a Cisco platform, a Google platform, a Zoom platform, whatever the platform is, Pexip and Blue Jeans allow the video to take place as well, so we can still connect on different platforms through these services. So really cool services. They also have instant messaging. They also have video, obviously video. They've got audio chat, but super cool platforms in all. Cisco Teams, I alluded to earlier. Cisco Teams, another really cool service. It's just like Microsoft Teams, and it's like Slack as well. In fact, there's a company, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it right now. There's a company that integrates Microsoft Teams, WebEx Teams, and Slack all into one application. So Greg can be on WebEx Teams, and I can be on Microsoft Teams, and we can still instant message and video chat, even though we're in separate organizations.
See,
that's kind of a big deal.
That's huge, because that used to be one of the things that used to isolate and make these tools not work well, that the fact that they weren't federated. You couldn't get these different communication tools speaking to anyone other than who was using that service. So historically, if you're an early adopter of video, and Aaron, you'll get a kick out of this. I'm actually going to post this at some point. I found a PowerPoint deck that I did 10 years ago on video conferencing. So I have to dig that up and put it up. It's just amazing because the tools are way more sophisticated, yet easier to use than they were even just 5 years ago. So it definitely time to start. If you've tried it before and had a bad experience, now's time to give it another shot. I'm sure you have though already. I'm sure you've been forced into it. And one thing we should mention is Aaron did another session. We spoke about Zoom, and that actual session is a 5-10 minute session on that can be found on the EEC Facebook page as well. It's archived. So if you missed that one, please go ahead and tune in. It's a great session. Just a little override and basically explaining why Zoom. Why are people using it? If you've not used it yet, what it can do for you.
Yeah, and Zoom is in a nutshell, it's like the FaceTime of video conferencing today. It's so easy. It really is. And do you need training on it? Some people do. Some people are still intimidated by any type of video and any type of technology. But if you can, if you feel confident, just download it. It's free. They allow you to have sessions right now up to 45 minutes in length for free. Give it a shot.
Yeah, you have really nothing to lose. Now you touched on this training. I mean, that is one of the things where I found in organizations that oftentimes is where people fall short. The new tool is put in, whatever it is. The IT team that's deployed it is actually brought up to speed and educated, and then sometimes it falls short as far as getting the right education into the hands of the end user. If that happens, you're not going to get the adoption. You're not going to get the full adoption that was really intended by implementing the tool. So if that happens, I mean, that's one area. If you flip to the next slide here, that's one thing that we do. So Brandywine is a local IT staffing company, regional staffing company. People turn to us for training. We work with several. We work with the city, the state. If they need to, once these tools have been put in place, if there's an opportunity to try to increase usage and adoption, really, it doesn't have to be a full-blown initiative. It's just a matter of getting the right people comfortable with the tool.
Yeah, and to complement that, we're talking to a company a couple of weeks ago, and they called up Brandywine to do some training, and it's like, well, why are you calling us now? Because we learned that you implemented and rolled out Microsoft Teams 8 weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, we just heard so much complaining from our end users that we didn't train them. We just rolled it out and expected them to know, and it's tough to force employees and to force adoption with new software products and services. So definitely reach out to Brandywine.
Pain is a good adopter.
Yeah.
It's a good motivator. Well, listen, Aaron, thank you for this. Bob and Elise, I think this has been a good overview of Microsoft Teams and why it's important. People should be paying attention to it. And again, head out to the EEC Facebook page. You'll see the archives, or at least the archive of Zoom. And we're continuing to put out content every week for the foreseeable future. So everybody, thank you for the time. Be safe, and hope to see you back out in the physical world before too long. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye now.